Well, hello. Welcome to the objective tier list of consoles and handhelds. Before we begin, we should lay some ground rules on what this is going to be. You see below you, this is all of the gaming hardware that I own, with certain inclusions and exclusions based entirely on... Oh, well, now it's gone. Based entirely on my whims. There you go. It's back now. So, first things first. This is not always the exact model of the hardware that I own. It is in a lot of cases, but I think there's a few where I did not capture the actual hardware proper, because I may have like a special edition or something that I didn't get a picture of. But it generally is the version that I own. For example, I don't have this clear blue WonderSwan. I have a different colored one, a purple one. I have the Pokemon Switch Lite, so it's not this pink one here, but we could get you the music going a little louder now. Come on now. Need a little more music. So, another caveat that we need to mention is I included hardware variations only in some cases. Mostly with handhelds. I basically included hardware differences if I felt like the hardware difference made a substantial impact on like how I play and interact with that thing. So like Game Boy Advance is on here and Game Boy SP are on here, or the original DS, the DS Lite, and the DSi XL are on here, but I didn't include the DSi proper because it's just basically it would be too much. Yeah, we're just going to go through. Also, this is arbitrary. This is based on entirely my whims. All right? We're making no logic. Ooh, good looking out there. Wait a minute. We're going to switch this to retro. I could switch this to just chatting, but most of these consoles are retro. So we're going to count this as retro. I think that's fair. All right. First off, the Atari 2600. Now, I'm not that big of a fan of the 2600. I was 5 years too old, all right? When I played the 2600, it was after I never played it until after I had played the original Nintendo, right? And so the games felt outdated from the first time I played it. I will say though, you can have a lot of fun playing 2600 games if you go in with the right mentality and you want to score chase. If you want to hunt for like beating your own high scores, like doing better and better and better. So that is a lot of fun. But I don't know. The controller hardware itself, kind of garbage. I mean, in terms of all of the consoles, honestly, it's probably D or F tier. That's not a positive way to start this whole process out, but it's not great. I'm trying to think without spoiling anything. If I put it at D tier, would I put anything at F tier below it? F tier seems so harsh though. Is F tier too harsh? I think we're gonna put our first system into F tier and see where the day takes us. We woke up and we chose violence today. Okay, F tier. Sorry, Atari 2600. I think you're a good system. I just don't think you're a good system. Also, that first part was a lie. The system that put home gaming on the map? Yeah. I mean, it has historical significance, Top Spot, but where would it, of all these systems, there's many more that I would rather play. We're gonna put it as a tentative F for now. We might want to give it a bump up, but I think it's F tier. I still think you can have fun with it though. Here, what if we do this? We'll make our F tier F, but there are no bad consoles. All right, 32X. Very limited library on this 32X. Does have some good games. Tempo is pretty awesome. And Knuckles Chaotix is like a fun novelty. But like as the second edition, I don't know if it like really excels too high. A lot of what's on there is not stuff that I really want to play. And oh my gosh. I want to put it like a C tier, like it's a real average, middle of the road console. But man, the setup for a 32X, it might drop it down to a D tier, honestly. Like the amount of like effort and chords and connections that you need to get a 32X running, I don't know. I think 32X might be D tier. If you're out there, COE 33, I apologize. Do I think I've set enough time for this, Pam? Ideally, no, but I'm gonna have to. I think we all know that a tier list should take you at least 3 hours, but we only have 2. I'm forcing myself to do it in 2. That's what we really want. Being able to actually play 3D Virtua Fighter at home, though. See, Mega Man, if you're a fighter person, I could see that. But I was not a fighter person. The first fighting game I ever got into was Guilty Gear X2. Your next video is a ranking and it's over an hour? Yes. Pam is going to be doing a ranking video of all of the shoot-em-ups. It's all the shoot-em-ups that you own or that you've played, right? But it's a massive shoot-em-up tier list. So please, go check out her channel and give that a watch. Although we got to make sure my tier list takes longer because, you know, there's no competitiveness between the two of us, but I would just prefer a world where I took longer. That's all I'm saying. 32X is cool, but not enough of a library. Not enough of a library, and for me, I didn't have one until, you know, years later, so. I actually, even as a Genesis kid, I didn't know it existed. And of the 2 attachments to the Genesis, this is not the one I would prefer. That's a me problem, Top Spot? Well, we're not... This is not an objective list of all of the game consoles. This is a personal, subjective list with some objectivity taken into consideration. But my gut feel supersedes any pathetic historical significance, okay? All right, 3DO. Honestly, 3DO pretty high. The games are jank. And there's a ton of weird, cool exclusives. Like, the 3DO library is one of the most interesting libraries to collect for, one of the most interesting libraries to explore. G tier? Top, you would put the 3DO below the Atari 2600? I would never do that. Like, just looking over at my 3DO collection. Strawl? Freaking Twisted? Cyberdillo? There's a game on the 3DO called Cyberdillo. That's just good stuff. It's hovering, it's a B or an A tier, I think. Guardian Wars Overworld theme makes 3DO default S plus tier. Alright. Dang, Top. Why are you so savage to these off the beaten path consoles? Makes me want to be belligerent and just put it in A tier anyways. I already know Top. We could make Top Spot's tier list by just going onto Wikipedia and saying top consoles by units sold, sorting it highest to lowest, and then just slot them in with some division lines in between certain total numbers sold. Top Spot hates the obscure ones and he loves the obvious ones. And that's why Top Spot is getting banned. No. Top Spot is staying even harder. All right. Oh, I don't have the Game Wave. All right. So. I'm about to un-VIP Zugbar just long enough to give him his sword powers back just to deal with Top Spot for me. All right. This music is too relaxing. We need something a little more tense. I know what we need. Whenever I need game music, I always turn to the greatest playlist. The Polykill 30 Days of Music playlist. We're going to hop in with some Morrowind theme song. Gonna have a crowded S tier if 3DO is A tier? I think that if you invert my tier list, you would get Top Spots. Whoa, please, quiet down, music. Morrowind theme song doesn't have to come in that loud. Hot dang. Alright. Alright, 3DS. Honestly, the original 3DS is like... I've got a lot of fond memories of the 3DS. Some cool RPGs and stuff on this console. But I think it's a B tier only because the 3DS XL with the eye tracking is the superior handheld. And this really, like this, you could... If you were a certain type of someone, you could make a case for 3DS as S tier, but I think that it makes sense that 3DS goes B tier, the XL with the eye tracking and the nub goes to A tier. Pilot Wings Resort is legit a compelling argument for like like top tier handheld game. Of any 3DS game I own, that's the one I would go back to. I might even say it's my favorite one. That's weird. That might be true. All right, Jaguar. So, I think of the Jaguar like a lesser 3DO. Like, Jaguar has a lot of novel, interesting stuff, but I feel like less original Jaguar games, more ports, and man, that controller is rough. But it's got Trevor McFur in the Crescent Galaxy. So, the Jaguar provided. I place a lot of value on libraries that have, like, weird stuff on it, right? I think C might be the right spot for the Jaguar. That might be right. Interesting doesn't make it good. Just look at you. Top, you're both interesting and good. Interesting and good, buddy. All right. Dreamcast. Now, I never had a Dreamcast growing up. Well, depends on what you consider growing up. Like, Dreamcast I had as of like 2004, so I never had a Dreamcast during its lifespan, as short-lived as that was. .32X is kind of better than Jaguar. I mean, 32X is... I take all factors into consideration here. I will go as petty and specific as I want. And both of these systems are ones that I have no memories with, no nostalgia for. They are like collector consoles for me. Ones that I only got into after I got into collecting. And of the two, I'm more interested and excited to get a new Jaguar game. And of the two, I'd be more excited to stream a Jaguar game. I think that Jaguar just has more interesting things going on. Dreamcast for me. It has some really cool games, but the problem is that most of them I never played on the Dreamcast. Like Grandia 2, I played on the PS2. Skies of Arcadia Legends, I played on the GameCube. But Power Stone I played on the Dreamcast. Switch and Switch Lite on there, they're different enough. I have opinions on the Switch and the Switch Lite, yes. All right. Dreamcast, I don't think it can be A tier. Or S tier, I mean. I think it's A tier. A lot of cool games in the library, very fun. Novel system, it really has an identity. That's something that's valuable to me. Is I like games that have an identity. Or systems that have an identity. Like when you see a Dreamcast game, you know a Dreamcast game. That's another thing where like the 32X really falls apart. There's no identity to the 32X. But Dreamcast feels like a package. So I think A tier makes sense. And we may need to eventually go in and break up A tier into some subsets, but we'll see. Bill, I suppose it is good morning for you, Bill. Good morning, bud. Hope you're enjoying some oatmeal and peeps and yogurt. All right. So this is one of the toughest ones to rate. All right, we should do this first of all. I think we can get this out of the way easy. DS Lite and DSi XL, both S tier. Both incredible. Depending on your preference for screen size, either of them are great. No going wrong. DS, unprecedented library, so many cool games, so much jank. Like every genre represented. It's the handheld, the epitome handheld. There's nothing bad you could say about the DS. And I think that it really does just come down to preference on screen size between these two bits of hardware. Drachma buddy, how's it going? You having a dang good day? You having a dang good one? About to inhale some breakfast that midnight lasagna was too long ago? 3DS also plays DS games? Yeah, that's relevant, but I don't think that it elevates it up. Like, nothing will capture the spirit, the joy of holding these two pieces of hardware in your hands. Like, the experience of play of DS games on a 3DS doesn't quite feel right, and I agree with you on native resolution. Both will let you play Animal Boxing. Dan? Again, I have to make sure that Animal Boxing is my final stream, because we'll lose Nostalgic Dan as soon as we ever stream it. Having a dang good one, seeing the face makes... Oh, dude, Drachma. Buddy. Flattery's gonna get you far in life. So here's the hard part. The original DS, garbage. But important, memorable. I have nostalgia for it, but I would never go back and play the original DS under any circumstance unless it was for nostalgia. Like, this is hardware that has been like completely and fully replaced in a way that few things ever are. So it's like, it's just, how low do we put it, right? How much do we punish it, knowing that it can still play all those great games? Yo, Scotch, what's up, buddy? I think it's a C tier. I'm tempted to make a new tier just for this. You replaced it with a light and then a light with DSi? Yep. I went to light, and it was this red one, and that was incredible. And then the DSi XL was maybe even better. Woke up from a nap, dang. That's a good day right there. All right. Now, Game Boy Color. Oh boy. This one is one of the most personal ones for me. The Game Boy Color was my first handheld ever. In fact, I'm actually kind of lying. The original Game Boy is, I think, the only hardware on this entire list that I don't actually personally own. I don't own one of these Game Boys. But it felt like I'm so familiar with the library, and I have played them so many times, and I have, at least for a time in the past, owned one, I believe. or I borrowed from a friend. So I felt like it still needed to be included, even if it's not one that I personally own. But Game Boy Color has... I just love its form factor. I love some of the really great games on this thing. Metal Gear Solid, the Mega Man Extreme games we just played were awesome. Bomberman Quest, some great Dragon Warrior ports. Oracle Ages and Seasons. Oh my gosh. Ooh, that's tough. Is it gonna be A tier? It's hovering right in this range. I think we can put it at A for now, and we can revisit it. Shantae. Don't see them much around. Yeah, they are pretty. The original Game Boys, at least, I don't see too often. Now, original Game Boy, I think also A tier. Iconic, enormously diverse and cool library. Oh man, Dragon's Dogma music. Game Boy is like almost impossible to collect. We're skipping the song because I don't need to hear a bunch of lyrics while I'm trying to process my thoughts here. I think we can put both those in A tier. Game Gear, fun library, awful hardware. Like, I think that, as much as I don't want to admit it, I think that it just does lose to the Game Boy. But I don't think that it's, like, terrible. If you have an alternative way to play these games, and we consider just the game library, it's pretty good. But if we take the hardware into consideration, the fact that they're always failing... It's always failing... It's hovering around here. You've never held a Game Gear? They feel nice in the hands, actually. I like the big heft, and I like the plastic. I think B tier feels right for the Game Gear. That's where my heart is telling me to put it. Knocked down by its struggles, but a really actually pretty cool library with some cool games. That feels right. COE, good to see you, buddy. Is an Atari 2600 you see in the F category? For shame. That's funny that you say that, COE, but earlier I apologized to you into the grand ether when I put the 32X at the D tier. I was like, oh no, somewhere out there COE's crying. But Atari did make me update this label. There are no bad consoles. You can have fun on all of them. The movie Surf Ninjas is the one good thing about Game Gear. Oh my gosh, Wegaman, come on. Would you put Game Gear lower than B? I like Game Gear. I think it's a fun library to explore, very novel. Alright, Gamecom. Oh. Alright, GameCube. We gotta figure out where we want to put the GameCube. You know, classic console. A lot of memories with it. No, I'm just kidding. We'll go back to Gamecom. But COE, I'm not trying to offend you. You'll be very happy. You'll be very happy when we get around to some other Sega consoles, I will say. The 32X has a small library. That's really what knocked it down. Yeah, is that it's got a small library. Even some of that small library I'm not super interested in. And it's like a fair amount of ports from other systems. And no identity. Alright, Gamecom. I respect the hell out of the Gamecom. Like, I love how many licenses Tiger got, but let's be real. Even I can't look you all in the eye right now and try to convince you that the Gamecom is, like, better than or as good as the Game Gear. Like, let's be real. But is it truly an F tier? Or is it a D tier? You can put 2 cartridges in it at the same time. And you can manage your calendar. I mean, what's that if not interesting? I think it has to be F tier. I don't know. I want to put it on D tier, but then that starts to feel a little bit mean to the 2600, so I guess we'll keep it there for now. None of these positions are final. We will return. All right, GameCube. GameCube, a very solid system. You know, iconic. Iconic. Bill, you can feel my anguish. Alright, GameCube I like a fair bit. I think it's got some fun stuff. Obviously, Nintendo first-party stuff is always fun. I do have to knock it for... I have to both give it props and knock it for the controller. Props to the Wavebird. The Wavebird is a great controller. But I have to knock the GameCube for that D-pad. What were they thinking with that D-pad? It's such like an afterthought. It's never used for anything. It barely feels like a button. It's garbage. Garbage. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can play Mario Sunshine, you can play Wind Waker, Metroid Prime. Ugh, that's good stuff. I think we might be in A tier. Possibly B tier, but... I think it might be A tier. Does it feel better in B tier? That's better than the Game Gear. It's better than the Game Gear. My A tier is already stacking up. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. It's true. It's a good one. Thank you, COE. Much appreciated. I'm just grateful that after 2 years that any of you still want to come hang out. It has been a lot of fun. What started as a way for me to unwind and kill some time has become something that I very much look forward to doing. Alright, Game Boy Advance SP. I mean, is there any doubt for where the SP is going? SP's gotta go up there. I mean, that's a yeah. I'm thinking, is there anything that would knock it out of S tier? Legendary hardware, especially that 101. The feel in the hands can be a little sus. It made me sneeze. You never had issues with the GameCube controller at the time. You only found that people didn't like it years after. Hungry Bill, I love the GameCube controller with the one exception of the D-pad. I think the D-pad is awful. So yeah, I think SP, a comfy S tier. I think so. Game Boy Advance is a library that there's a ton of exploration left to do as well. Like, I have a lot of games I really love. You know, we've done some Tiny Toons Scary Dreams before, the Metroids, Klonoa games, Minish Cap. A lot of Golden Suns, Fire Emblems, so many. But there's still so much I haven't found. All right, here's another one. Oh boy. Original Game Boy Advance. I mean, this is the same fate as the SP, but I don't think that the differences between the SP and the original GBA are as drastic as the DS and the DS original. I think that this might be more of a B tier. Aww. COE, thank you for gifting the sub to Fizzy Cans. Much appreciated. Oh, we should get this alert box up top. There we go. Much appreciated, COE. And during the Contra music, too. You're too kind. Too kind. All right, Gizmondo. All right, Gizmondo. Very, very cool piece of hardware. Actually surprisingly good for what it is. Like, looks good. Plays pretty well, actually. It has sticky balls. This is a very important consideration. True, it does have a game called Sticky Balls as its flagship title. We can't deny that. But the library is very limited. Like, I'm looking at my Gizmondo collection and I have 4 or 5 full games and a lot of demos for stuff that never came out. And that rubber that they use, oh, that rubber deteriorates. I think Gizmondo, it's either C tier. I don't know if D tier is a little too punishing for it. But the 32X also isn't bad. It's just... I think the limited library is what really knocks it down to D tier. The limited library hurts it. But man, what a beautiful piece of hardware. And again, when this game exists on your console, you're not F tier. You're not F tier. Just look at that. Trying to tell me you don't want to play that? Alright. The Lynx. Lynx has some cool games, a lot of handheld ports. It's got some of the worst hardware ever. It's cool because you can turn it, but mine has, every Lynx I've ever seen has terrible screen bleed. So I think it probably makes sense to put that in D tier as well. Any Lynx defenders out there want to step in and say, "Not my Lynx. You're going to knock it down that low? You going to knock it down that low?" Didn't think so. All right, Master System. This one's tough. I don't feel like I have enough experience with the Master System to speak to it in an educated way. Hardware scaling in 1989. Top. I hate to admit it, but I was not appreciating hardware scaling as much as I should have at the age of 1. As a 1-year-old, I did not put the respect on the Lynx's hardware scaling the way that I should have. Alright, I've only beaten 2 Master System games in my life, and both of them are Alex Kidd games. Is this true? Is this true? I think so. Some great titles on there that I have played though. Golden Axe Warrior is very fun. I actually like the port of Space Harrier. I think Zillion is really good. Top Spot, I want to see you make your list. Whoa, all the elf stands showed up out of nowhere. Oh my god. That elf stream. You just put all the Sega consoles in S tier. I think Master System. I think it has to go into C tier for now. I think that it has potential to go higher when I learn more about it, but I don't know more about it. I feel like there's like 20 great Master System games in the North American library, and then the rest are ones that I would never really care about. N-Gage. I was so jealous of people that had an N-Gage back in the day. Now, you'll note that I only put the N-Gage QD on here. If you are unaware, there's two models of the N-Gage, and the QD is the one you want, because this one lets you, one, it has a better form factor, and two, the original model of the N-Gage, you like can't swap the carts without taking out the battery, and this one just has a cart slot. So N-Gage, I think, very novel. I like the idea of the N-Gage a lot. Now, it's not going to be up here. There's no like timeless classics. There's no great games. Like, I cannot look you in the eye and tell you that I enjoy the Nokia N-Gage as much as I enjoy the Game Boy. Oh, I did not mean to drop that there. You're making the list wrong, bro, yo. How many of the consoles let you take a call and play Shadow? That's so true. Maybe only the Tiger Handheld is the only other one, or the Tiger Gamecom's the only other one that even comes close. Oh, that's not true. The Tapwave Zodiac has something to say. Svensei, buddy. Welcome on in. Welcome on in, my friend. How you doing, dude? Go down as my most controversial stream. I think. Well, let's line it up tier by tier and see where it comfortably fits. It's obviously not S tier. It does not hold a candle to the Game Boy lines or to the GameCube. I would say that the Game Gear is better than the N-Gage. It could fit at C tier. I can see that. C or D tier? I think I'll put some respect on the Master System and we'll drop that D tier. And thanks, dude. Atari 2600 eats N-Gage's lunch? Nah. That ain't true. Hey, very fitting with the Turtles game coming out soon. Alright. Where's the Nomad? I don't have a Nomad, COE. This is all the consoles that I own. Consoles and handhelds that I personally own. Svensei, yes, do it. We should find some time. It comes out the 16th, right? So not like, you know, today or tomorrow, but next weekend, we could figure something out. Alright, N64. I'm a tried and true N64 kid, okay? I was raised on the N64. I think that I would defend the controller, although, Just like the GameCube. What is it with Nintendo and D-pads? Why are they so bad at D-pads? They mastered the D-pad. They didn't master it. They invented it. They made it possible to play things with a D-pad. And then for 2 generations they did well. And then they were just like, oh, let's put it as a disgusting afterthought on all of our controllers from that point forward. Now the question is it S tier? Or is it A tier? I mean, any system with Mario 64 on it is pretty damn good. What's the worst Nintendo D-pad for me? GameCube, hands down. Hands down. Now, it does get a little harder when you venture outside of the first-party and rare games. I am not one of those people that say there are no good games beyond that, because that's not true. Go play Rocket Robot on Wheels, come back and tell me that there's no good games. Go play Chameleon Twist, come back and tell me there's no good games. But I acknowledge where that comes from. I want to put it A tier, but the problem is I don't feel that the GameCube and the N64 are the same. Which maybe makes GameCube a B tier console. It feels wrong to have these at the same degree. Tough. What would I... Does this feel more correct? Let's look through my GameCube faves and see how that's feeling. Maybe they can just both be S tier. Maybe. Alright, GameCube, convince me. Yeah. I think this might feel a little more correct. Never before seen, good to see you, buddy. GameCube's better, but you think N64 is more nostalgic? F-Zero GX is good. Metroid Prime? Oh, that's true. Metroid Prime and Monkey Ball are the 2 things that make me want to put GameCube higher. And even though it's like, I don't have the same reverence that some people do for it, you gotta put some respect on Melee's name. You gotta put some respect on Melee's name. I don't love these 2 being together, but I don't feel like I can comfortably move either of them around right now. So we'll leave that there. Oh boy. NES. Oh gosh. This is where I get banned off of Twitch, okay? It's not that low. Here's my thoughts on the NES. Let's run through the NES. It did a lot. It's doing some heavy lifting, all right? It was the entry point for the types of games that I play. The Atari 2600 is F tier because the NES so thoroughly dominated it, all right? Dominated it. But almost every game on the NES has a better game on the Super Nintendo. Like, Punch-Out, Super Punch-Out is better. Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past is better. Metroid, Super Metroid is infinitely better. Like, all of the big Nintendo franchises are all better on the Super Nintendo. There's a lot of cool stuff to find. Castlevanias, I think the Super Nintendo ones are better. Every RPG on the original Nintendo, like Final Fantasy compared to Final Fantasies 4, 5, 6, not even close. Like, it's just... It does not have the same love in my heart. Hardware-wise, I'm coming at you right now to tell you the NES controller is garbage. The NES controller is garbage. If you like the NES controller, you're garbage. You're garbage. It has corners that hurt your hand. They're pokey. So I don't love the NES as much as other people, but I also still think it's a lot of fun. You know, I'm knocking all those games, but I've come around to a lot of those as well, and I respect the hell out of the original Zelda, out of Metroid. And the original Punch-Out is still amazing, so I think NES B tier. B tier. It's got some highs, it's got some lows, it averages to about a B. It's about a B. Does NES have a Thrilla Safari? No, but the thing is, never before, if the NES, or if the SNES did have Thrilla Safari, it would be better for sure. NES does have Kickmaster, though. I have not done much with Kickmaster. The controller is fine. Your sensitive hands are the problem. Top, why don't you shut your mouth and go back to playing some Atari 2600? Good luck finding a TV old enough. Alright, Neo Geo Pocket Color. Those... that Moon theme. Moon theme out here trying to make a case for the NES. Neo Geo Pocket Color. Great hardware. Great screen. This thing feels so good. That clicky joystick is amazing. But the library is a little limited. It is a little limited. It's not limited in the way that N-Gage and Gizmondo are limited. It's B or C. You think handhelds and consoles should be separate lists? Nah, that's the weak way out. Very tough to compare apples to apples. A little limited. There's like 13 North American releases. Yeah, but amongst them, you get like a very good Sonic game. You get 2 good Metal Slug games. You get some RPGs. I also haven't played too many of the games to be able to speak too intelligently, which makes me also want to put it around C tier, but it does feel so good. It really rides the line between these two. Would I rather play a Neo Geo Pocket Color or a Jaguar? Oh, it sits right in the middle. Should have added a 0.5 here. All right, I think we'll put it C tier. No, it's better than the Jaguar. We're putting it up there. We're putting it up there. All right, Nuon. Nuon. Nuon is complicated. All right? Here's the thing about the Nuon. In many ways, it's awful. Okay? It's not... I don't want to sugarcoat that. Like, the fact that controllers are hundreds of dollars, the fact that the thing barely works, it's not good. But the problem with the Nuon is that all the games it does have are really interesting. Like Merlin Racing, Freefall, Ballistic. Well, Ballistic's not that interesting. I guess Merlin Racing is really what I'm talking about. Freefall is cool too, and Tempest 3000, which I don't have. But this is another one that has just such a limited library. It's very Gizmondo. In fact, if I put Gizmondo in D, I feel like I have to put Nuon in D. Oh, but that controller, though. The problem is once you own a Gizmondo, you own it. It might drop to F. Like, the Nuon... Is it as good as the 32X? I don't know about that. JVC XI, Panasonic Q, or Laser Active? Yeah, this is only stuff I own. Atari controllers are usable. Every Atari 2600 controller feels broken right out the gate. Those joysticks are awful. Awful. I respect novelty too much. It's going D for now. Doo-doo. All right, PC Engine. Really, really good. The fact that it can play the North American Turbo CD games is a huge boon. I like the controller on this quite a bit. And this has like an endless library for me to explore that I just haven't yet. Now the problem is that collecting for it is very expensive. Forgot I was able to get my hands on a Vectrex. Yeah. We have a Vectrex, we do. You don't see the playdate on there? Yeah, I didn't put the playdate on here. It's a good point. Too new. We'll slot it in later. I've played the playdate about as much as some of these. Top Spot, there is not a console on this list that I haven't beaten a video game for. I've never beaten a playdate game. It's like, it's at least B tier. I kind of want to put it A tier, though. Because there's so much potential to the library. We're going to put it there for now. I think that feels okay. Anytime I get to play my PC Engine, I'm like, yes, this feels good. I'm happy. Much of this is the heart score, okay? Much of this is your guiding principles. Is that too high, though? We'll see. Nah, we'll make it through, Top. We'll make it through. Gold, Lords of Thunder is gold? It is. We will circle back at the end and we will do some adjustment because once everything is slotted in, a little revisit is necessary to see how you feel. PS Vita. I love the Vita. I have such a soft spot for the Vita. I think it's got some of the best hardware ever. It feels so good to hold a dang Vita in your hands. I think that's an easy A tier. I don't think that it's quite S tier because I don't think that the variety of games was quite there, and I don't think that Sony supported it well enough. But I do think it's a comfy A tier. Stop. Jackal. Calm down. And then, you know, this can't be S tier because like Nostalgic Dan said, there's no toilet kids on the Vita. It needed a Devil May Cry. It just needed a little more than it got. It sort of seemed like it was sent out to die. And because of that, it's really strong, but it has some big holes. Ugh. PS1. Now that is tough. Let's do PS2 first. PS1 I'm more complicated on. PS2 is the easiest S tier on this list. The easiest S tier on this list. PS2, the dominant console. There's not a genre that doesn't have incredible games. There's awesome survival horror stuff, 3D platformers, RPGs in abundance. It's like I can't imagine a world where you would knock the PS2 for anything. The only thing that the Xbox did better than the PS2 was online connectivity, and I don't really care about that. Strong start. Yes, if they had kept up that pace with Uncharted and Gravity Rush, the Vita would have done so much better. But that was like it. Like they had a launch salvo and then nothing. Matt, buddy, good to see ya. How you doing, my dude? How you doing, my dude? All right. PS1. PS1. Thank you for the 2 years of streaming. Congrats, Matt. I appreciate that. Even a DVD player at that time had so much importance to you. Yes. Yeah, exactly. I feel like I need a tier. It's like, I need another tier that's like, it's like we need to add a row that's like B.5. Great until it got superseded by better hardware. Oh, I didn't mean to add that row. We're going to delete that row. Oh, we renamed that one? No. Add a row below. That's what I meant to do. We'll name this one B tier. And we'll move stuff in. And then you're B.5. Great until the hardware. Great until new hardware 100%. I spell obsoleted. I don't even know off the top of my head. Obsoleted it. There we go. That's what we needed. And see, now we can put the PS1 in there. We can put the original Game Boy Advance in there. Put the DS Fat in there. Oh, that's cozy. That just makes sense. Is anything else in there completely obsolete? I don't think so. I guess the 3DS as well. Whether we keep that tier, I don't know, but it makes me feel better about PS1. Tony Hawk 1 and 2 so good. Yeah. This is my staging ground. We'll come back and decide if we keep this, but I don't want to deal with PS1 right now. I'm too nervous about slotting it anywhere other than S tier, even though I don't know that makes sense. PS3. PS3's tough. If you were there back in the day, the PS3 was not making waves, okay? When it first launched, it was slow. But these days, I prefer my PS3 to my 360. But I don't have quite as much nostalgia for PS3 as I do some other systems. Is it A tier, though? I think I'd put this at a B tier. I think it feels like a B tier to me. How's that sound? Y'all would put PS1 in S tier? I took the cheater's way out. Cheater's way out. Bill, I feel the exact same way. Rough start, love it these days. PS3 Fat was loud and has yellow light issues? Yes. I mean, that backwards compatibility on that beefy PS3, amazing. But it has problems. It has problems. B feels right. Oh, look at that. All right, we all agree. You like the PS3 controllers? I do too, but there's this weird thing that happens with Sony consoles where every generation the new controllers, to me, make the old ones suddenly feel like cheap Fisher-Price toys. Like, after the PS4 came out, you hold the PS3 controller, and you're like, why is this so plasticky and creaky and weird? And then you hold a PS5 controller, and then you go back to a PS4 controller, and you're like, what is this? This is so awkward, and it just feels wrong. And you never notice it until the new generation comes out. Dan, you're biased for PS1. It's not like your largest library or your Japanese collection has outgrown your US library. Dan, if you would send me a list of every Japanese game you own so that I can copy it and find cool games, we'd be a lot better off. But until then, the PS1's in the F tier. No. After playing the 4, yep, felt so light and cheap. Yep. All your PS3 controllers are broken and have dead batteries? Oh, boo. Alright, PS4, A tier. A tier. Great console. Like, absolutely just 100% my console of choice that generation. I think it's awesome. The controller holds up better than the PS3 controller does. It is the PS2 of the modern era. It's really, really good. In fact, is there a reason I wouldn't put it S tier? Why? Oh, why would I not put it in S tier? Now, it's either S tier or does it need to go into the great until new hardware superseded it? I don't know. That's tough. Controller battery life maybe keeps it. Yeah, the battery life's not great. That's true. Neither is the PS5's, though. Oh, I didn't put the Series X on here. Oh, dang it. There's no Series X. I'll add it in after the fact. You wonder if we'll look back on the PS4 as one of the great consoles? Good question. Good question. I don't know. I think we will. I will. My PS4 library is one of my biggest libraries. PS4 might be S tier, actually. We're gonna see how that holds up. Because I'm looking at the other stuff in A tier, and I'm like, I think the PS4 beats a lot of those. PS5. I think PS5 right now is about an A tier. It's early. It's too early to tell exactly what's going to happen, but the PS5 controller is one of my favorite controllers of all time. I think it is so good. But some like the UI is a little weird, I think. It's just it could be better. And I want to give it room to grow because I don't know yet. Right now I feel like the PS5 is young enough to where the PS4 still has an identity of its own. But since this can play all the PS4 games, I feel like with enough time and a sense for the PS5 library, that eventually the PS4 might go down to B.5 just because the PS5 would move up. But we'll give it time to breathe for now. PS5 was great until PS2. Yeah, you're not wrong. All right, PSP. PSP. Definitely up there. The question is, I think PSP might also be A tier, honestly. When the PSP first came out, the novelty of being able to take like media on the go was just so next level. I had so much fun with that. And I have a lot of memories playing games like Untold Legends, SOCOM. The PSP has a lot of great RPGs. It's sort of like just a general all-purpose handheld. And I'm a sucker for that. It makes the same sound as the Dreamcast when it's playing, where it's just like... I think it's so good. Let's look at the PSP collection real quick. Get a sense to see... Ugh. Tell you what, don't go play Third Birthday, though. That's for sure. Don't go play it. PSP is like a system that I played a small handful of games on, but loved what I played. You know, Prinny, Patapon, Loco Roco, super cute. Yeah, I like the PSP. Grand Theft Auto on the go, very, very cool at the time. VMUs. Taking PS1 on the go was a dream come true. Yes. Ugh, being able to play Chrono Cross on the go. Get out of town. Get out of town. Oh, the UMDs, COE? Oh. All right. PlayStation VR. This is really hard. I think VR is incredible, but I don't think VR is fully figured out yet. Also, there's no denying that the PlayStation VR has some serious hardware limitations. I think it would be A tier, if maybe even S tier. I think here's what knocks it down. I think that the game library is phenomenal, but it could be more varied. There wasn't quite enough support behind it. It sort of has the Vita problem, where there's like a handful of standouts, but then It's just like some smaller studios desperately trying to keep it afloat while big stuff from Sony doesn't release on it. But games like Tetris Effect, Astrobot, even like lesser stuff like Pixel Ripped, those are all incredible experiences. But that move controller tracking is garbage. That's not where I want to put it. I think it's a B tier. If I didn't have to constantly reset the tracking on my PlayStation VR, it would be A tier or S tier. But I always have to reset the tracking on that damn thing. All the time. All the time. So often. So we're gonna set it at B tier. We're gonna set it at B tier. That one has some upward momentum though. It has some mobility. All right, R-Zone. I think this is one of our easiest F tiers. Even I'm not going to look you in the eye and tell you that the R-Zone is good. The R-Zone is awful. In fact, the R-Zone almost makes me want to move the 2600 up. All right, let's do this. We're going to add a row below. We're going to name this one F2. Okay, maybe there's one bad console. Oh my god, I'm so bad at this. This is what I want to do. There we go. That's what we want. All right. Whew. Some heavy hitters coming up. We have half an hour to finalize this list. All right. Sega Saturn. I need something a little more chill to be able to think. All right, Metroid Metal, I appreciate you, but I need something to calm down on. All right. Sega Saturn. I think Sega Saturn, from a hardware perspective, great controller. I like the look of the console. I think that the library is very, very interesting, actually. Very cool. It's like, it's got some good RPGs. It's got an incredible import library. This is tough. This is tough. Do I include the JP library for Saturn? Yeah, I would. Because that's how I play my Japanese games, is via my Saturn. Shin Shinobi Den S tier, enough said. Need some ska to lighten the tension? Oh, that ska would never help us. Oh, I think Saturn. Let's look at this library. I mean, a Saturn game just makes you feel some kind of way, right? Gosh, Knights, Shining Force, Panzer Dragoon, Sonic R, Bug. There's a lot to love. This might be an A tier. I think a Saturn might be an A tier. That Japanese library is truly compelling it forward. Yeah, I think that makes sense. But now we got to do the same thing for Sega CD. I mean, Sega CD has Snatcher, Soul Star, Popful Mail, Lords of Thunder. Some good stuff on Sega CD. I need an S plus tier? What would you put in the S plus tier and what would you move around, Matt? Sega CD, I feel like, can't maybe be in the same ranking as Saturn, because I feel like even though the Sega CD is kind of more fun to collect, I feel like the Saturn just has more. Honestly, Matt, I fully agree with you with what you're saying. I would move the PS2 and the two DSs up to S plus. We will consider that. Let's do this. Add a row above. Oh no, you still need to be red. All right, and we're gonna see if we need this. The nice purple S plus. We're not gonna add anything to it, but we're gonna leave it there just in case. We're gonna see if it feels right. All right, Genesis. I'm a Genesis kid. It's an S tier. Honestly, I think Genesis and Super Nintendo, both S tier. Both of them. S tier. They're doing slightly different things. Super Nintendo has a much better selection of RPGs, but the Genesis has a much better selection of scrolling shooters. I think they both have good platformers. And even in the instances where they're weak in an area, the Genesis still has some good RPGs, right? It still has Crusader of Senti. It still has the Phantasy Star games. And the Super Nintendo still has some decent shooters, right? It still has Blazion. It still has... what's that one called? UN Squadron. Shining Force, yes. So I think... it would be too hard to separate these two. I think they're both S tier. Even though I grew up with the Genesis, you'd think that I'd put it higher. But I think that the Genesis and Super Nintendo both belong there. Blast processing to an A minimum? Heck yeah. Alright. Oh boy. The Switch. So here's the thing, we can't put either of these in the B.5 tier because it's not obsoleted. The Switch Lite is like it can't do the docked mode. Now, how low would I put it? Like, there's no denying. We can't say that this is an F tier. As much as I want to knock the Switch that bad. I know that most people Switch is S tier. I think that for a lot of people, the Switch would be very, very high. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't love the Switch as much as I once did. And my love for the Switch only shrinks with time. I acknowledge it has a great, huge, diverse library. It's honestly like the PS4, like the PS2. It has a modern, diverse library that includes so many genres that it's hard to take that away from it. But I don't love the hardware. And the problem is it has that huge library, but it doesn't run it that great. We'll start with the Switch Lite, because this is my preferred Switch. I would say the Switch Lite is like C, maybe B tier. That's where I'd probably put it. Am I considering it only without the controller? I've been taking controllers into consideration. Do you mean with the Switch Pro controller? Also, the Switch has just god-awful online. Just god-awful online. I think maybe B tier. Maybe C tier. C tier feels a little too harsh. I would say B tier for that, C tier for the original Switch model. The original Switch model feels gross in your hands. It feels like it's going to break. For handheld indie stuff, I'll give it B tier. But the original is C tier. Even that feels a little off, but we'll circle back at the end and see. It's not up here. Tapwave Zodiac. Tapwave Zodiac, I think, slots in right with the Tiger handheld. Like, games don't feel good on it. There's really not a lot to love. It's just got a handful of ports, not much of an original library. I don't think it's doing much. It's novel, but unimpressive. And of the novel handhelds, I don't feel like it's N-Gage or Gizmondo quality. Oh, we lost our label here. Whoa, way too intense. I respect you, God of War, but please, let me think. Honestly, this is probably going to be too intense, too. We'll see how Bloodborne does. You'd like a Switch, but they're still expensive over there? How expensive are they, Bill? All right. You step away and you come back to new tiers. Top spot. Is it even a tier list if you don't add a couple tiers along the way? Come on. Come on. This is how the game gets played. We had to do what we had to do. All right. TurboGrafx 16. It can't be put into the same tier as the PC Engine Duo because it can't do as much. I think TurboGrafx 16 makes sense in a B tier. I think it makes sense in a B tier. $450. Oh wow, dang, Bill, I am sorry. Ugh. All right, Vectrex. Vectrex is tough. So Vectrex is an incredible, very impressive piece of hardware. And it does one thing really, really well. But it's not that diverse. Although, I don't know. I feel like it's maybe a B tier as well. I think Vectrex, you know, when I play it, I'm super happy. Same as the TurboGrafx 16. Same as the PlayStation VR. But I wouldn't put it up there with any of these. I think B makes sense for Vectrex. Yeah. Virtual Boy? Man, I love the hell out of the Virtual Boy. B or A tier? Where would I put the Virtual Boy? Very small library, but the highest concentration of good games on a library ever, I think. I love Virtual Boy Wario Land. Mario Tennis is a ton of fun. Jack Bros is a really good game. There's really nothing on the Virtual Boy that I don't enjoy. Maybe Red Alarm. And the baseball game? I think Virtual Boy A tier. A tier. I've never had a bad time playing my Virtual Boy. Always enjoyed it. But yeah, it is a shame that Vectrex are so expensive. And even if they weren't expensive, they're so expensive to ship. It's crazy, Scotch Hobbies. And Bill, you could do a lot worse than a PS4 Slim. Hard to believe I'd rather play a Virtual Boy than Switch. Well, I mean, I play my Switch more just because the Switch has so much more to play on it. That's certainly true. Where does the PS3 Slim and PS4 Pro fit on? Yeah, I didn't include those because I didn't feel like I needed to. We're gonna leave it there for now. We're gonna see if we need to do any adjustments at the end. All right, Wii U. Wii U is just like a real middle of the road console, you know. Yo, dude, Svensei, go. Take care of yourself, man. Appreciate you hanging out, stopping by. We will absolutely talk again soon. Wii U, middle of the road console. Kind of came and went. I think it's probably a B tier. The Wii, though. Gosh, the Wii is either an A tier or an S tier. Although the Wii did kind of get superseded by the Wii U. Although, no, that's not true because it's so clunky to play Wii games on the Wii U. The way they did it was so ham-fisted. Honestly, the Wii might be S tier. Your Wii U is a glorified Wii box? Let's look at the Wii list before I confirm that it's S tier. Because I want to be sure about this. Let's take it to the spreadsheet. I mean, we got the Mario Galaxy games, Xenoblade Chronicles, Last Story. And the Wii has so much cool stuff hiding on it. Fragile Dreams, Koro Rinpa, Mad World. I do really like the Wii. Super Paper Mario's good. Brawl, I played a ton of Brawl. Trauma Center, WarioWare, Smooth Moves. Yeah. Think about it. Great first party lineup. Tons of hidden Jaspers. Massive variety of jank to find and explore. One of my biggest libraries. Still love collecting for it. I think we might be S tier. That feels right. Wonder Swan. Honestly, Wonder Swan I just haven't played enough of. Like, my Wonder Swan collection's 4 games. I've beaten one of them. It's got Klonoa Moonlight Museum on it. I think probably like a C tier for Wonder Swan. I like what the Wonder Swan's doing. I want to put it higher. It feels like it would be cool to put the Wonder Swan higher, but the library is so limited, and what I've played is cool, but like I need more time with it. It's in C tier just because I haven't given it enough respect to put it higher. Honestly, it's being punished, but ooh. And now we get down to the 360 original Xbox and the Xbox One. I agree if you can't read Japanese, Scotch and Hobbies. The games that are playable are great. Like Rhyme Rider's really good. There's a shoot 'em up that I have that's really good, but it's small. Oh my god, Dan. That's rough. That is rough, man. I know that grinning face that you're talking about. Ugh. Alright. Xbox 360. I have a lot of nostalgia for this. I think it's a great console. But the hardware issues with the 360 really do knock it down. I think 360 makes sense as an A-tier console. It was my default for most of that generation. A lot of my best gaming memories are on the 360. Xbox Live was cool. The introduction of achievements was really cool. But the hardware is kind of garbage. It only gets worse with time. The blade menus, oh, so true. Honestly, I don't know, man. I could maybe make this S tier. Because I played Left 4 Dead a ton online. Man, this was like where I played all my Call of Duties. This might be S tier. It depends on how much I want to punish it for the red rings. And I did have to RMA 3 Xboxes in a row. It's either S or A tier. I'm going to leave it S tier for now. We'll come back to it at the end. It's one of these two. I don't know which one feels more right. Original Xbox, good. I have a lot of memories with Xbox Live. I enjoyed it. I think original Xbox might be like a comfy A tier. About as good as the GameCube, but not as good as the PS2. There was a version that corrected the hardware. I just never owned it until recently, Hungry Bill. So I bought a 360 on launch. Within a couple days, it red ringed. I got one from Microsoft. Within a week or two, that one red ringed. And I did that process a couple of times until eventually I got one. And then that launch model 360 worked from like early 2006 all the way until this year. And it finally crapped out this year. And I just replaced it now with an Elite. So I think, I feel like Here's the thing. If I move this one down, I think I would move the original Xbox down too, because the 360 is better than the original Xbox. I think it makes sense there. Xbox One, honestly, it's like a D tier. It's like a D tier. I have so few Xbox One games. The ones I played, I didn't love. Like, I played the exclusives that I wanted to on Xbox One, which was New Super Lucky's Tale, or Super Lucky's Tale before it came out on PS4, the Ori games when those were console exclusives, and Rock Band 4. And 90% of that is Rock Band 4. So it's not high. All right, we've got 9 minutes to make any adjustments. First off, let's populate that S Plus tier with the only ones that need to be in there, which are the 2 DSs and the PS2. Those are the S Pluses. And honestly, it might be just the DS Lite. It might be like this. If I'm going to make that differentiation, the DSi XL is incredible. But if I was only going to put one, I might put the original DS Lite. But we're going to put them both up there. Why not? So now we look at this tier list and we think, where were we too harsh? Where were we too generous? Let's go tier by tier and see what feels. S Plus tier I've never been more confident in. I feel really good about my S tier. A tier. I like the 3DO being in there. I like 3DS in there, Dreamcast in there, Game Boy Color in there. Honestly, the original Game Boy, like the original Game Boy, how would you guys treat this? In a world where we have B.5, great until new hardware 100% obsoleted it, would you put the Game Boy down in there? Or would you keep the Game Boy as its own thing? Game Boy Color plays all those games. The only, I think, differentiation is the monochrome screen. The green monochrome screen. Is that enough of a differentiator for you to separately tier it out? How would you feel? Here's the question. I have to throw away everything below B. So C, D, and F tiers have to get thrown out. And would I save anything in doing that? I mean, I would save a lot of the novel handhelds because I think they're novel, but I think there's some objectivity to their placement too. Like, in those, I am trying to balance my love for obscure weirdness with quality and the amount of times I go play those games. Never before seen. Where does the Series X rank? Would probably be, for me right now, probably B tier, I'd say. Possibly A tier. I've been playing it a little more recently. I've been on and off with Game Pass, but I'm a little new to it still. Also, the reason the Series X isn't on here is because it's the only console I own that I don't have a single physical game for. So when I went and looked at my backloggery, I didn't even think about it because I don't have any physical games in the collection. And I think the fact that I forgot to put it on the list is maybe indicative that it shouldn't be too high. Hmm. Overall, I feel pretty decent with this list right now. What ones do I feel the worst about? I feel kind of bad that PSVR is as low as it is. I feel like Switch is a little too high in B tier, but I feel like moving it and then the other Switch down to C and D is too harsh. So we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll put it in B tier. And there's no denying that I have a huge Switch library, but I just don't love it too much. Honestly, I think we're pretty good on this layout here. Steam Deck is S tier. S tier, man. Dang. Those are big words. Is it because you've never played the Playdate before and you don't know what S tier truly feels like? Yeah. All in all, I think we put respect on the consoles that we needed to. I think that we applied a good mix of what I think of are somewhat more objective measures, like library, controller, console design, but also some subjective measures like my nostalgia, like the gut reaction to that console, how much joy I get thinking about it, how much I like collecting it, stuff like that. So I'm feeling overall pretty good. Yeah, I think we did it. I think that we did it. And with time to spare. Look at that, we even had a few minutes left. All right, I need to know from everyone in chat, what is the most insulting placement here for you? Where did I make you the most angry? If you were going to leave me a nasty comment on YouTube, where would you leave it? What system? Bow down, bow down, bow down, bow. Switch on C is sus? Ah, that hardware's garbage. Switch Lite's better. It's B tier. It's fine. PS1 belongs in S. I mean, the library would put it up in S, but I'm just lumping the PS2 up in S plus. Wii too high at S? Nah. Your respect for the Wii's too low at S. Or at anything below S. NES needs to be higher? Nah. Nah. All right. All in all,